Picture this. You are standing in the middle of a scorching desert.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, we are talking 155,000 hectares of vast, blindingly white sandscape stretching just, as far as the eye can see.
Right, right.
You are sweating, the sun is completely beating down on you, but then you crest this 130-foot dune, and suddenly, miraculously, you are staring down at thousands of crystal clear freshwater lagoons, just glowing turquoise under the open sky.
It sounds like a digitally rendered mirage, doesn't it?
Exactly. It looks fake, but it is 100% real.
It is the kind of geographical phenomenon that makes you question your own eyes, honestly. A place where the standard rules of nature just sort of fold in on themselves.
Well, welcome to our morning radio-style deep dive, everyone. I am Professor Paulo Edson, and I will be your highly observant guide through the intricacies of the English language today, pointing out all the hidden traps before we actually fall into them.
And I am Professor Rachel Barbie Wire, here to help you unpack not just the mechanics of the language, but the beautiful, deeply human journey of communication. We are just so thrilled you are dedicating this time to your own growth today.
Let's establish our coordinates for all you listeners tuning in. Today is Thursday, August 6, 2026. This is the English Conversations course, and you are listening to the Acad FM podcast, coming to you straight from the English school Academia BSB.
Yes, and at Academia BSB Cursos Inteligentes, our entire mission is built around empowering adults who, already have established careers.
All right, busy people.
Exactly. We teach you how to master English online through our live classes, a highly customized methodology, and original materials hosted right there on our ePlat platform.
We have an absolutely spectacular mission for today's deep dive. We are reviewing the class notes for Group T262.
Oh, this is a great one.
It is. We are taking that breathtaking sandscape of northeastern Brazil, the legendary Lençóis Maranhenses, and using it as our environmental canvas. We're going to explore advanced English vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, and writing. So, grab your coffee and let's figure out the linguistic gear you need to survive out there.
You really do need the right gear, too. If you are planning a trip to the three main bases of Lençóis Maranhenses, whether you are heading to the bustling hub of Barrinhas, the serene isolation of Santo Amaro, or that charmingly rustic village of Atins.
The best spot.
Absolutely. But your vocabulary has to be as robust as your physical packing list.
So let's look at the vocabulary from our current class notes. We have 5 target words here. We've got trip, travel, to intend, by, and through.
A very solid list.
But I want to stop immediately at trip and travel because, this feels like an area where English is deliberately trying to confuse Portuguese speakers.
It really does feel that way sometimes.
Right, because in the Brazilian Portuguese dictionary, you have the noun viagem and the verb viajar. They look like siblings. But in English, trip and travel don't look related at all.
That separation is precisely what catches students off guard. Because in English, trip is almost always the noun, the equivalent of the viagem. You take a trip.
Right, take a trip.
Travel, on the other hand, is the action. It is the verb, the actual act of viajar. You travel to the national park.
I always tell my students, confusing these two words is like, it's like renting a standard low-clearance city car instead of a rugged 4x4 when you are heading into the deep sand of Santo Amaro.
Oh, that's a perfect way to picture it.
Yeah, if you say, I am going to trip to Brazil, you are taking the completely wrong grammatical vehicle for the terrain. You are going to get stuck in the sand. You take a 4x4, say take a trip, and you travel inside that 4x4.
That visual makes the mechanics so much clearer. Using the right grammatical vehicle dictates whether your sentence moves forward or, stalls out completely. Now, look at the verb to intend. This is another fascinating word because it means to have a plan or a purpose.
Wait, hold on. This is a massive false cognate, isn't it?
A huge one.
Because in Portuguese, pretender means to intend. So a student might say, I pretend to travel to Athens, meaning they actually plan to go. But in English, if you say, I pretend, aren't you saying you are faking it? Like you are just playing make-believe?
You hit a nail on the head. If you say, I pretend to travel, a native English speaker pictures you sitting in your living room, making car noises, just imagining a vacation.
Like a kid with a steering wheel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You must use to intend when you mean you're planning something real. Then we have our prepositions. By, which indicates the method, like we traveled by boat.
By boat, right.
And through, which implies moving into one side of an environment and out the other. You navigate through the dunes.
That makes perfect sense. And speaking of the environment, let's look at the vocabulary matching activity from the past class. The students had to match words to their meanings. We had interior, shoreline, currents, sediment, and relentless.
Right, so let's break those down. The natural continuous flows of ocean water are the currents.
Got it.
The tiny particles of sand and organic material carried by that water, that is the sediment.
The building blocks of the dunes, really.
Exactly. The land far from the coast is the interior, while the line where land meets the sea is the shoreline. But, the word that carries the most emotional weight here is relentless.
Oh, definitely.
It means refusing to stop, continuing with intense, unforgiving strength.
It is such a heavy word, isn't it? You can almost feel the physical fatigue in it. Relentless.
We really can.
Yeah.
And when we apply it to the Lansing Maranhenses, it's the only word that works. The 30-mile inland winds there are relentless.
They never cease.
They never cease. They're the invisible sculptors of the entire environment, constantly driving the sediment inland to create those towering 130-foot high crescent dunes. The magic of the park just doesn't happen without that relentless force.
And, those relentless winds don't just shape the sand, they shape the local culture.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if you were out there trying to negotiate a boat tour over the roaring wind on the Preguices River, or, I don't know, trying to order grilled fish in Cabaret, you'd better make sure your pronunciation is crystal clear.
So true.
Let's look at the sounds of this sandscape, starting with the pronunciation pairs from the past class.
We have some incredibly tricky pairs here. Slip and sleep, leather and ladder, while and white,
White and while, yeah.
who and wool, roll and rule, sneakers and snakes, high and height, out and outer, and dating and dotting, or doting, depending on the regional context, of course.
I am fascinated by the physical mechanics of the short versus long vowel sounds, like slip versus sleep. It is physically impossible to make the correct sound if your face is in the wrong posture.
It really is. Because language is highly physical. For the short ein slip, your jaw has to drop slightly and your mouth must remain entirely relaxed. Slip, it is a quick, almost lazy sound.
Right, slip.
But for the long E in sleep, you have to engage your facial muscles. You physically stretch your lips outward into a smile, raising your tongue higher in your mouth. Sleep.
And Shakespeare famously wrote in Hamlet, "To sleep, perchance to dream." Right.
Yes.
Well, if an actor doesn't stretch their mouth into that smile and accidentally relaxes their jaw, they end up saying, "To slip, perchance to dream."
Oh my goodness, yes.
Suddenly, the Prince of Denmark isn't contemplating the heavy weight of existence. He is worried about falling over on a wet floor. The entire emotional resonance of the literature is destroyed by a relaxed jaw.
That is a phenomenal way to illustrate why phonetics matter. You aren't just making sounds, you are carrying the truth of the message.
The truth of it, yeah.
Let's apply that to the target words from our current class. We have away, question, safety, said, career, certainly, and productive.
Let's put these out into the wild. Give me a contextual sentence for safety.
Sure. Safety is paramount when swimming in the deep Lagoa da Gaivota. Notice how the T in safety is crisp. It's not swallowed.
Right, safety. And how about certainly?
You will certainly need sunscreen in the relentless desert sun.
You definitely will. But here is where the English language lays traps for us. False similarities.
Oh, yes.
Let's look at the word career. My students constantly want to pronounce it like carrier.
It is a very natural mistake for the eye to make, but phonetically, they belong to completely different worlds.
Totally different.
A carrier, with the stress on the first syllable, C-R-R, is someone or something that transports items, like a luggage carrier.
Right.
But your career is your life's professional trajectory. The stress shifts entirely to the second syllable, career. You stretch that long just like you do in sleep.
Career. I love that. And then there is the word said, the past tense of say. Phonetically, looking at it spelled S-A-I-D, it looks like it should rhyme with paid or laid, but it doesn't at all.
It really doesn't. English spelling is heavily influenced by historical vowel shifts, which is why it often betrays the modern pronunciation. Said is pronounced identically to the emotion sad, but with a slightly tighter, shorter A sound. Said, your mouth barely opens.
That reminds me of something important. There's an update on the E-Plat. Let me see exactly what it was.
Oh, please share. What is it?
Well, if you find yourself getting paralyzed by the fear of mispronouncing career, or said in a real-world scenario, you urgently need to check out the school's Aulas de Conversação, our conversation classes.
Oh, these sessions are truly transformative.
They really are.
When you're an adult managing a busy life, holding down an established career, The psychological barrier of speaking a new language can feel as insurmountable as a 130-foot sand dune.
It's terrifying for a lot of people.
It is. You might be able to read an English contract perfectly, but the act of speaking requires an entirely different neurological muscle.
Going back to our earlier analogy, it is the fundamental difference between reading the user manual for a 4x4 and actually driving one through deep shifting sand.
Exactly.
Our aulas de conversation are specifically engineered to bridge that gap. They are live, they are highly dynamic, and they pull you out of the textbook and into real-world interactions.
Which is where you need to be.
Right. Because whether you are pitching an idea in a corporate boardroom or negotiating the price of a private boat in Auditons, you need the muscle memory to speak without second-guessing yourself.
It is all about claiming your space and your voice in the conversation. So as soon as you finish listening to this deep dive, log into the ePlat platform and book your conversation slot.
Don't wait.
Your future self will be incredibly grateful you took that step.
Make it happen today. Now let's transition from breaking down conversational barriers to actually building up our words. I want to look at grammar, specifically the anatomy of language.
Ooh, the architecture of it.
Let's dive into word formation from our class text, A Sea of Dunes.
Word formation is where you really see the underlying architecture of English. It relies heavily on syntax and derivation rather than the heavy verb conjugations you see in Portuguese.
I always think of English root words like Lego blocks.
I love that analogy.
You don't have to melt down the plastic and forge a brand new piece every time you need a new meaning. You just snap a little piece on the end, or you just place the block in a different part of the structure, and it changes function entirely.
That Lego analogy is perfect. Look at the word dry. In the text, we see the phrase clothes hung out to dry. In this position, to dry is the verb. It is the action taking place.
Right.
But later we read about the dry season. Same exact spelling, same pronunciation, but now it is an adjective describing the noun season. The position in the sentence dictates its identity.
We see the same thing with tower. A tower is a physical structure, a noun. But when the text says towering dunes, they snapped on that ing Lego piece to the end.
They did.
They created a participle functioning as an adjective, giving us this massive, majestic visual. Tower.
That snapping on of pieces is what we call derivation by suffixes. A suffix alters the word's DNA. Take the noun fish, add the suffix in the plural men, and you get fishermen.
Which changes everything.
Exactly. Shifting the meaning from the animal itself to the human agents whose profession involves catching them.
It also shifts direction to description. East is a directional noun. Snap on and you construct northeastern, an adjective describing a specific coast.
Right.
Snap a onto the noun wind, and you build the adjective windy.
Which leads us directly to the most common structural mistakes students make with these building blocks.
Well, the classic error. A student looks out the window, sees the palm trees bending over, and says, "Teacher, I am very winder today."
A very poetic but grammatically chaotic sentence.
I have to stop them and say, unless you are a Marvel superhero who controls the weather elements, you are not wind. The weather is windy.
Such a great correction.
They confuse the noun with the adjective, and worse, they apply it to their own state of being instead of the environment.
We guide them back by showing how that simple Y suffix turns the physical thing into a descriptive quality. It is windy. We also see this architectural building in compounding.
Right, putting them together.
Taking two independent words and fusing them together to create a brand new concept. Sand plus scape generates sandscape.
A vast landscape made entirely of sand. It was incredibly efficient. But how do we structure these blocks into actual sentences?
The root words remain stable, but the grammar sculpts the intention. In an affirmative statement, we say, "The wind is relentless."
Okay.
To make it negative, we adjust the verb. The wind isn't relentless. And for an interrogative, we invert the structure. Is the wind relentless?
It all comes down to how you assemble the pieces, which brings us to the writing portion of our notes. Because what good is having a bucket of linguistic Lego blocks if we don't use them to construct a real itinerary?
So true. The objective of this exercise was for students to write an 80 to 120 word essay describing a future trip utilizing the grammar and vocabulary we just analyzed.
We have to showcase Student B's essay today. Sandra Teixeira. Sandra, if you are listening, you put in fantastic effort here. Let's review her first draft.
Let's hear it.
She wrote, "I have many plans for the future, and many of them include traveling. My next trip will be to Peru with my boyfriend. We will start our trip on August 26th. During our trip, we will visit Lima, Cusco, Machu Picchu. After that, we will travel to Lençóis Maranhenses. Later, we will visit Tutoya. The sand is very white and the lakes are very blue. I'm very excited about these trips.
You know, the foundational architecture here is quite strong.
It is.
Sandra correctly employs the future tense with will, and she clearly establishes the parameters of the trip: the who, the where, and the when.
The structure is solid, absolutely, but it reads a bit like a grocery list. I
Okay.
will go here. I will do this. It is very white.
Right, right.
It is functionally correct, but it lacks the descriptive power we've been studying. How do we take this standard city car of an essay and upgrade it to a 4x4?
We enrich the vocabulary. Instead of relying on basic modifiers like very white or very blue, we integrate the specific evocative language from today's lesson.
Give me an example.
Well, instead of saying lakes among the sandbanks, she can use our new compound word, sandscape.
Oh, I see where you're going. Instead of saying nature has created amazing landscapes, she could write, the relentless wind has sculpted a towering sandscape. It completely transforms the emotional tone of the writing.
It really does.
Yeah.
Let's read the proposed, polished, final version of Sandra's essay. Listen to how the rhythm and imagery flow.
I'm ready.
My future is filled with travel, starting on August 26th with an unforgettable journey to Peru alongside my boyfriend. We'll explore the towering ruins of Machu Picchu before heading back to Brazil for a dramatically different adventure, the Lancia Maranhenses.
Wow, already so much better.
I am thrilled to witness this magical sandscape, where relentless winds sculpt crescent dunes and crystalline blue lagoons emerge like mirages. We will end our trip into Toya, absorbing every moment of these dynamic, breathtaking environments.
That is stunning. It went from a basic itinerary to a cinematic trailer for a documentary.
It really did.
Sandra, with your consent, this stellar piece of writing is going to be published on the school's blog at students.AcademiaBSB.com.brr blog. You earned every bit of that upgrade.
She truly did. And that level of revision and dedication deserves immediate recognition.
Speaking of recognizing hard work, it is time for our gamification interval. Let's check the scoreboard.
This is such a vital component of the learning process. The psychology of gamification proves that learning shouldn't just be a rigorous climb, it should be celebrated at every milestone.
For those of you just joining the Acad FM ecosystem, gamification is how we quantify your hustle. You earn points, which we track as stars, for completing activities during live classes, participating outside of class, and crushing your homework.
Those stars are so important.
They really are. These stars level up your user profile on the ePlat and propel you up the student leaderboard.
It creates a wonderful environment where you can track your tangible progress and engage in some light, motivating competition with your peers.
So, channeling my best stadium sports announcer voice, let's look at the stars earned today. Estrelas Gana Hoja. We are awarding, drumroll, 24 stars. 24.
That is fantastic.
Congratulations on your incredible competitive progress. You are earning those stars just by showing up, doing the mental heavy lifting, and pushing your linguistic boundaries.
Every single star represents a barrier you've broken and a new concept you've successfully integrated into your mind. It's a big deal.
It really is. You know, as we wrap up today's deep dive, I keep thinking about a specific mind-bending fact from our source text.
Which one?
Geographer Antonio Cordero Fitosa observed that the dunes in Lençóis can move up to 65 feet in a single year.
65 feet of movement from a mountain of sand. It is almost unfathomable.
It is perpetual, unstoppable motion, and it serves as the perfect mirror for you, our listeners.
Oh, I love that.
Just like those massive dunes, a language learner's progress is in constant motion. You might not feel yourself improving every single Tuesday, just like you can't stand in the desert and watch a dune move in real time. But over a season, over a year, you have traversed an incredible distance. You are never standing still.
What a deeply empowering perspective. It brings to mind how classical literature has always wrestled with the imagery of shifting sands and the passage of time.
Oh, lay it on me.
Well, in 1818, the English Romantic poet Percy Bysshe Shelley published a brilliant sonnet titled Ozymandias. It details a traveler recounting the ruins of a once tyrannical king whose massive, arrogant statue now lies shattered and half-buried in the desert.
It is a phenomenal way of writing.
It is. Shelley concludes the poem with this haunting, resonant image. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away.
Wow.
In the context of the poem, the shifting sands represent the relentless nature of time erasing human hubris. But if we adapt that imagery for our journey today, those shifting sands aren't a symbol of decay at all.
They're a symbol of growth.
Right, exactly. They're a symbol of continuous, majestic transformation. The landscape of your mind is always shifting, always being sculpted by new knowledge, if you just allow the winds of curiosity to carry you forward.
Consider my mind officially blown. You are not a stagnant monument. You are a dynamic, ever-evolving sandscape. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the English language and the wonders of the Lançois marinensis.
Keep practicing, keep questioning the mechanics of the language, and keep moving forward.
And always remember our Academia BSB motto with a little thematic twist for today. It's not only about the language, it's all about communication and embracing the beautiful, relentless journey along the way. See you next time.